Hello, and welcome to the Board Game Diner, where we're serving up a full menu of fun of the cardboard variety. I'm John Fliss, and I'll be your server for today. Now, when most people hear board games, they think of things like Monopoly, Clue, Pictionary, Yahtzee, those classic board games everyone knows, but not everyone loves. So I'm going to let you in on a little secret. There is a whole world of games out there. We're smack dab in the middle of a board game renaissance, a golden age of amazing, challenging, and fun board games unlike anything you've experienced so far. Social deduction, worker placement, area control, push your luck, wild party games, crunchy Euros, puzzly solo games, the list goes on and on. Now that all probably sounded like gibberish to you, but not to worry. Here at the Board Game Diner, you've got me to be your guide. There are games in the hobby known as welcoming games. These are fun, accessible, easy to learn games that everyone can enjoy. Those are the types of games we keep here on the menu at the Board Game Diner. So if you stick around, we're going to learn about a variety of games and discover some new fun to be had at family game night. So today, I'm going to serve up some new games similar to the classics for you. I mentioned earlier, what games do you think of when someone says board games? I said Monopoly, Clue, Pictionary, Yahtzee, even card games like Rummy. People have fond and not so fond memories of these games. Who can't recall that game of Monopoly that just wouldn't end? What I'm going to do is give you some of those classics and then share a newer game that scratches the same itch. But you will find that these newer games give you more agency. They'll present you with challenging decisions, give you more opportunities to strategize, and make you feel much more accomplished than those familiar classics. So let's get to it. First on the menu, Monopoly. A game of moving around the board, buying and selling properties, trying to milk every last ounce of money from your opponents until you become the richest victor. If you like that, try this little game called For Sale. This is a game for 3 to 6 players and plays in less than 30 minutes. Packed inside here is a tight game of wheeling and dealing, of money and properties. Everyone starts out with the same amount of cash. Then you go around bidding on properties, ranging from a cardboard box all the way up to a space station. It's kind of like bidding in poker. The winner pays all and takes their first pick. Everyone else gets half their money back and picks the rest of the cards. You want the best properties you can get while spending the least amount of money. Once all the property is bought up, the second part of the game begins, where you're bidding on cash buyers with the properties you now own. Heck, you may be able to pull off getting the highest cash out there with your decorative sewer apartment, if you play your cards right. The winner is the person with the most money left at the end of the game. That's For Sale. Now, let's try our hand at being detectives. For those of you who like Clue, trying to solve that classic whodunit with Professor Plum in the conservatory with the candlestick, I have something moody, mysterious, and dripping with theme. Try a sample of Mysterium. Mysterium is a game for 2 to 7 players that takes around 45 minutes. In this game, all but one of the players are psychic detectives looking to solve a murder with the classic Clue staples. Who was the murderer? Where did they commit the crime? And what was the murder weapon? And they're being helped by the last player, who is the ghost of the victim. But here's the catch. The ghost can only communicate with the detectives through their dreams. That's done each round through cards with surreal paintings on them. The ghosts look at the random cards in hand and tries to communicate clues to the detectives as best they can. But they're stuck interpreting the message. Is that lion the clue, pointing to the sculpture on this guy? Or is the woman with a hat and the wood on the boat hinting at all the tools and attire of this lady? The ghost can use multiple cards to guide the detectives to find the right answers, but they have to find them all before the clock strikes 7. Mysterium has fantastic art and creates a great atmosphere. The ghost can't communicate except for 1 knock, for no, and 2 for yes. This is a fun one for everyone to work at together and try to interpret the clues. There are rules about people betting on each other's guesses, gaining points to give them access to more clues at the end, but my friends and I usually play this without that added in. It streamlines the game and we have a lot more fun. But try it out. Who knows what your game group will like? Speaking of group fun, here's a twist if you like Pictionary. Telestrations, a game that can play from 3 to 12 players and anytime you'd like. Remember that old game of telephone where you would whisper from one person to the next down the line and whatever was originally said would be very different at the end? They decided to do that with drawing. Everyone gets a dry erase booklet and a marker. A roll of the die tells you what your word is. Depending on player count, you either write the word down or try to draw the word. When the time is up, the booklet gets passed to the next person. They only look at what the last person did, and now it's their turn. If it's a word, they have to draw it. If it's a drawing, they have to guess what it is. This keeps going until everyone gets their own booklet back, and then you go through it. I actually went back and looked at the rule book for this. There's a friendly and competitive scoring for this, but I have never scored a game of this game. There is no need. You can score it based on how much you've laughed. Because I tell you, I've played this game and every single play, I have laughed so hard I've cried. This game is best with terrible drawers. Or if everyone is too good, you can shorten the time to draw or make people draw with their opposite hand. The laughs come from interpreting bad drawings. The more people you have, the better your game. If you could play with 12, oh, look out, this is great. If you like chucking dice to score points like in Yahtzee, then I would recommend King of Tokyo. This game takes Yahtzee and kicks it up a notch, where 2 to 6 players become giant King Kong or Godzilla-like monsters, battling it out in Tokyo until one player is the last one standing, or any player gets 20 points. Games last less than 30 minutes usually. In the game, players get a cardboard standee of their monster, and they all start out on the outskirts of Tokyo. On their turn, a player grabs the dice and rolls. They can re-roll any number of dice twice, but after 2, they're stuck with what they get. You get points for rolling 3 of the same number. 3 ones get you 1 point, 3 threes get you 3. Any additional numbers are 1 point each, so this would get you 4 points. Claws are how you attack other players. The first person to roll a claw goes into Tokyo. You get points in Tokyo, and whenever you roll claws, you attack all other players. However, all other players attack whoever's in Tokyo. If you get someone down to 0 health, they're out. When you get all other players out, you win. If you roll hearts, you get to heal damage. And if you roll energy, well, that lets you buy power-up cards, which will give you special abilities like rolling an extra die every turn, getting 2 victory points immediately, or always being able to re-roll any 3s. It's a quick game with chunky monster cutouts and a lot of dice rolling. It takes Yahtzee and turns it into a battle for supremacy with a nice sprinkling of strategy. Do you try to stay in Tokyo a little longer and get more victory points? But you run the risk of getting too beat up to continue. Or do you get out and heal up to fight another day? That's King of Tokyo. So I mentioned card games like Rummy at the beginning too. If you like that, where you're collecting sets and playing them out for points, Ticket to Ride would be for you. Ticket to Ride has a bunch of different versions, but I'll be looking at the original here. It plays 2 to 5 players and takes about an hour. In Ticket to Ride, you're trying to get the most points possible and be the most successful railroad magnate. Players collect train cards that they can then play out to claim routes on the map of the United States. The longer the route, the more points you get. So if I played these 4 white train cars, I could claim this route from Chicago to Toronto and earn myself 7 points. Woo woo! There are also destination tickets, gold cards connecting distant cities. These are tougher to do, and it doesn't matter how you connect them, just that you do. So they will score you even more points, and whoever builds the longest continuous route, they get points too. This one was an easy and fun game to play with my parents. They were able to immediately jump in on the Rummy frame and then add in the various ways to score points, and it was a hit. There were fun strategic decisions to make, and those destination cards, they're big points. But if you don't complete them, they negatively affect your score. So you have to be smart about which ones you try to complete. I once went for a big one all the way across the board and was sweating bullets as I got blocked, and I had to go around. Like I said, really good decisions you have to make. So that's a pretty good sampling right off the bat. I hope you saw something that caught your attention and you want to try out some new games. Let's take a look at the check here. We bid for homes and for sale. interpreted dream messages in Mysterium, drew some laughs in Telestrations, fought as giant monsters while chucking dice in King of Tokyo, and made train routes all over North America with Ticket to Ride. Now, normally you would tip the server, but at the Board Game Diner, the server has a tip for you. Today's tip: where to play games. Hopefully you saw a bunch of good games you want to play. Sure, you might try buying one, but it'll get pricey really quickly. But even if you don't know anyone with these games, there are still ways to play. Many libraries now have gaming collections. Search your area for a game store. Near me, there are 5 different board game stores. They're usually tucked away and not so easy to spot, so head online and you might find one. They have libraries for members a lot of times where you could go in and you could play games there at the store. And then there's places like this. I'm in House Rules Board Game Lounge in Grand Rapids, Michigan. They've got a fully loaded bar, a game store, and of course, plenty of space to play, including a large library of games for you to play. There's a small cover charge, but then you could try any of these games. I'm sitting here with the co-owner of the House Rules Game Lounge in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And Nathan, can you tell me a little bit about what House Rules has to offer?
Yeah, House Rules is a Grand Rapids premier board game lounge. We have over 650 games available here to play, as well as hundreds more to buy. We have a full bar with beer, wine, and liquor, plus lots of non-alcoholic options. We're totally family friendly and pet friendly.
For someone who's just found out about games, what would they experience coming into a place like this?
Yeah, they'd walk in and they'd be greeted by one of our great staff here. And one thing that we do really well is we're great at recommending games. So if you have a style of game you like or a style of game you think you might like, we can make some recommendations, even teach you how to play. And that's usually the hardest part for people is, learning the rules and playing a game for once. So.
Those new gamers, what kind of games do they gravitate towards?
Yeah, I think everyone's different in what games they want. We see a lot of people requesting even the old classics, Scrabble, Clue, Connect 4. We see a lot of that. We see a lot of people requesting 2-player games. That's a big thing. I'm coming here on a first date or just out with my wife. I want to play a great 2-player game. Do you have any suggestions? And we have lots of them. There are many of them. And yeah, we can find a game for you. We have a lot of events going on. So if you're into events and meeting new people, our calendar's listed. We're full of every week with different events. Euchre, Magic, D&D, Wingspan, all sorts of games. Catan is this Thursday. So if you're looking for something to do, meet new people, or even just reconnect with some old ones, there's lots of things going on.
What advice do you have for people who are just starting out?
Well, it can be a little intimidating staring at our board game wall. There's so many choices, so I always recommend people just find something that looks good, give it a shot, read the rules. And I think a lot of times people just look at the art, they browse the shelf and see something that appeals to them. Maybe it's the theme, maybe it's the colors, maybe it's the gameplay. I think that's how most people find the games they're looking at.
You were just telling me too that there's an expansion coming?
Yeah, so we have an expansion coming. We're currently in the process of adding 50 new seats. We're full almost every single night of the week, so we're adding 50 more seats. We'll be seating about 145 people here. We're also adding a kitchen, so we'll be adding a kitchen that's going to be serving sliders and fries and some other lighter fare up. We're still working on the menu, but that's going to be a great addition to this place. We're excited for that.
Come on down to House Rules Lounge and have a great time and find some new games that you might want to try out. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
Well, that's all the time for today. Thank you for stopping into the Board Game Diner. Hope you become a regular. Next time, we're going to take a look at cool games you'll see at your local grocery store, Target, or Barnes & Noble. There are a lot of gems out there. Until then, game on.